She was just another face on the base, a figure in oil-stained fatigues, working in the hangars where the Apache helicopters rested between missions. No one looked twice at her as she scrubbed grease from the steel, wiping dust from the mighty machine guns that guarded the skies. To most, she was a quiet crew member, a mechanic who did her job and disappeared into the background. But one morning, as the sun burned through the desert haze and the Apache's glass canopy reflected the light like fire, something happened that would change the way everyone looked at her forever. The pilot, a decorated captain, walked toward his aircraft, expecting another routine day, until he saw the patch on her sleeve. His steps faltered. His breath caught. And suddenly the entire base seemed to freeze in silence. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the untold strength of those who go unnoticed, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Armed Forces Stories. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories to light. The patch was faded, its edges frayed, but the symbol was unmistakable. A unit insignia almost no one on base had seen in person. It belonged to a group that had been written into history with whispers, a unit that had been disbanded after one of the most brutal missions in modern warfare. The captain's eyes locked onto it as though he was staring into the past itself. She noticed his silence but kept cleaning, her hands steady, her face calm, as though she had worn that patch all her life. He finally asked her where she had gotten it, but the weight in his voice betrayed the tremor in his chest. She didn't answer at first, only looked up with a quiet intensity, her eyes carrying stories too heavy for words. Rumors began spreading across the hangar as others noticed. Mechanics, junior pilots, even hardened veterans shifted uneasily as the recognition dawned on them. Some refused to believe it. Others whispered that maybe it was just a relic, a hand-me-down. But the captain knew better. The way she carried herself, the discipline in her silence, the scars barely visible beneath her rolled-up sleeves, none of it belonged to someone ordinary. They said she was a technician, but the truth was etched in her posture, in the way her hand brushed across the Apache as though it wasn't a machine, but an extension of herself. What none of them knew was the story behind that patch. Years earlier, she had been part of a covert mission that had gone terribly wrong. She wasn't supposed to survive. Her team, some of the best combat pilots and gunners in the world, never made it back. She had carried them home in her memory, along with the patch she never let go of. To her, it wasn't just cloth and thread. It was the weight of lives lost, of promises kept, of a duty she never stopped honoring. Every time she cleaned those weapons, she wasn't just doing maintenance. She was keeping a vow to the people who had once flown beside her. The captain couldn't shake it. He watched her work, feeling a strange mix of shame and reverence. He remembered hearing of that unit, of the nightmarish mission that had haunted every pilot who heard about it. To see one of its survivors here, disguised as a quiet mechanic, shook him to his core. And yet he realized it wasn't just about the past. She was teaching them something without saying a word, that real strength doesn't always wear rank, and that some of the greatest warriors are the ones who no longer boast, but serve in silence. The day went on, but the base was no longer the same. Whispers became stories, and stories became respect. Soldiers who had once passed her by without a glance now stood straighter when she walked past. The captain himself found it hard to meet her eyes, not out of shame, but out of awe. He realized that true leadership was not about commanding from above, but about carrying scars without letting them define you. In her, he saw resilience, sacrifice, and a quiet fire that no uniform could ever hide. Weeks later, during a readiness drill, the Apache's systems glitched. Pilots scrambled, mechanics panicked, but she didn't. She stepped in, her hands moving with a confidence no manual could teach, bringing the machine roaring back to life in seconds. The captain stood behind her, frozen again, not from shock this time, but from admiration. He knew then that she wasn't just keeping memories alive. She was still serving, still fighting in her own way. Her patch was not a relic. It was a reminder that some battles never end, and some warriors never stop. And so she remained on that base, still cleaning, still silent, still wearing the patch that told a story louder than words. But now, whenever she passed by, soldiers saluted. Not because of her rank, but because of what she represented. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was the embodiment of survival, of honor, of strength that demanded no recognition, yet commanded respect. The pilot never forgot the moment he froze, the instant when the patch on her sleeve reminded him that heroes don't always stand in the spotlight. Sometimes they're right there beside you, holding everything together, one scar and one memory at a time. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Armed Forces Stories. It means the world to know these stories of courage and resilience reach people like you. And finally, before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe that true heroes are often the ones no one notices at first?